Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unfiltered Tales, Season 5, Episode 8. Tonight, we coming from the South, below the Mason-Dixie line. We coming from Virginia with our author, Arielle J. Scott tonight. How are you doing, Arielle?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. So, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm from Virginia. That is where I currently reside. My mom, wife, and before becoming an author, I have 10 plus years in the healthcare field.
Okay, what were you doing in the healthcare field?
I have a EMT certification, worked in the emergency department as well as the hospitals and pediatric office.
Okay, I can dig that. All right, so we bring you on because you have your first book coming out in a few weeks.
Okay.
And congratulations on that. Congratulations. And it's called My Father's Secrets.
Yes.
So how did you come up with this title, My Father's Secrets?
Um, I was trying to find a way to tell parts of my story, as far as relationship with my dad, and was trying to do it in a way where you don't get hit with legal stuff.
Right.
So, because you have to have all types of authorizations and okays to talk about your life with other people. So,
Mm,
what I decided to do is just make a story and in that story project some of the things that I went through in the relationship that I had with my father. And upon writing out what I wanted, I realized it's a secret. I've been a secret, and I was a secret, for a very long time. And that's how we ended up with the title. I was like, I'm gonna write around being my father's secret.
okay, so it's a it's not a tell all, but it's a truth to the book, whereas though you were a secret. So I guess that how did that inspired you because you were a secret, but as you're relating to the character Maya, how does the struggles with these issues, how do you cope with this, knowing that you are a secret, just like she was a secret to Chief James Turner?
Honestly, my biggest thing was work. I suppressed a lot of my feelings. I don't face things. I don't deal with them. It happens. I have my initial reaction, and then I suppress it. I put it away, and I drown myself in something else, so that I wouldn't have to face it. So when writing the book and having to finally face those things and face those traumas that I do deal with. Um, Me and Stella Rose had a good time writing this book, I should say.
Hey, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. You on Stella Rose. But what's your favorite flavor before we go on to the next question?
All of them. I love all of them, but if I really had to pick one, it had to be black. Black is definitely sweet, just like me.
Okay. Joyce Phillips says, "I'm hot cousin. I'm proud of you."
Oh, thank you.
All right. So, okay, so you have the correlation with Maya, the main character in this. So, how I guess what it would be like, how does, Maya's relationship with her father shape the way she sees herself and others?
Um, Never really feels like she's wanted. It's like a battle within herself, like, well, if I'm not good enough for my father to want me, if I'm not good enough for my father to be around or see how I'm doing or ask about me or any of those things, if I'm not good enough for him, the man my mother laid with to have me, if I wasn't good enough for him, how can I be good enough for anybody else? And with that mindset, you begin to accept anything and you begin to accept everything that comes your way because you feel like, well, I'm not that important, or I can't be worth much if you know my own father doesn't want me.
Right. So, you saying it, comes the truth of this book of with this being part of your story. How does how did it make you feel? How did you go through these things?
um Life's been a little tough from decisions made off of those feelings, like because of the issues I have with my father, like I date older men, um, kind of look that feel something that can fill that void that my father should have been feeling. So while I should be in love and romancing, it more so comes off as I'm looking for you to be this figure. Even though you're my man, I need you to do this, and this, like my dad would have done. Make me feel protected, make me feel like daddy's princess, do this. So that's been how I've carried relationships, whether they're, romantic, or sometimes I find myself, like that, even with male friends who are older, I look for them to protect me, be there like my dad's supposed to be.
Right. So, not going deep into the book because we want to make sure everybody buys the book
Mhm.
and read the book. But I know in the beginning, in the prelude, it actually states that the chief, uh, he's not 100% of life. So I'm gonna say he's like 10%, 15, because in the prelude it shows that he shows up to certain things. Like he's like a ghost in a machine, basically. He just
Mhm.
shows up and he sees it, stands in the background, claps, then leaves.
Mhm.
So was that what was going on in your life as well?
Yes, so mine happened a little later in life, about 18, 19. My dad did. I got pregnant with Nicholas, my 15-year-old, and at that point in time, he disappeared.
Mm,
Like he was there. He wanted to be a part of everything. He was, taking me to get maternity clothes. He was at the hospital. He was there. Like he literally popped up, and I thought this was going to be the start of us having that type of relationship. But just as quick as he came, he was gone. I have, different scenarios of why maybe, he came and then left. Not 100% sure his reasoning. Of course, I never was able to get that from him, but he literally popped up, and I just thought, here we go. I got my dad. We're going to do this. Like, I'm finally going to be daddy's little girl. Even though I'm grown, I'm going to be daddy's little girl. He's going to
right,
come in, he's going to come in and save me. He's going to come in and save me. And he didn't come in and save me. he
right.
didn't.
So, okay, so dad is popping in and out. So, how was the relationship with your mother? Not your dad and your mother, but your mother and your relationship. Like, what is going on? Was she comfortable with how the secret was going? And
Um, She supported my efforts in one trying to find him when I was
Mhm.
younger. I even wrote Oprah a letter and was like, help me find my dad, do a DNA test type thing. Like I really wanted him. My whole being in life was to have find my dad and have him be my dad. So she's been supportive in my efforts in trying to have a relationship or trying to reach out, but she was also there, like, don't get your hopes up because there's a possibility, he won't stick around. And I never really fully understood that part. I'm like, how can he not stick around? Like, I'm his child, like, and I'm his only child at the time.
Mm,
And I'm a girl. How could he not stick around? And as I got older, I come to learn that, of course, race played a factor in it. And race playing a factor, as I started getting more details, being his black daughter wasn't at the top of his list.
so so okay, so now that being his black daughter in Virginia at
In
that time.
Virginia. Mhm.
Okay, so
Whose
so I
family's into politics and knows the mayor and hangs out at the big parties because of the name. I couldn't be around. I couldn't. That didn't fit the image. Didn't fit the picture. There was a choice that I was told by my mom that his family would have taken me in, but it would have been like some type of sob story, like they were adopting this black baby and was
right,
going to take them in and pretty much use me as politic tools, and she pretty much told them where they could go and how fast they could get there.
right.
So,
So so your dad like dipping in that chocolate pudding, I see.
yes.
So
And they were in high school, like they went to high school together.
oh wow.
Right.
So based on that, it was just my family's this type of way, and I could not see myself doing this because it was basically him
Right,
choosing you or choosing his family. And I'm guessing
right,
decided to say, I'm going to, stick with my family. But hey, I can give you a couple dollars here and there. I can come show up and this, that, and the other.
right. But
So,
you can't say my name. You can't mention that I'm that person. Like
right.
that's literally how it was.
So when you said when he came back at 18, when you was pregnant with your son, out of those 18 years, so everything just went away?
Like it didn't, but I thought like so when he popped back up, I thought we were gonna be on this path. We're gonna get to know each other. I'm gonna learn why he couldn't be around or why he didn't want to be around. Like we're gonna heal. And then because he was married, so I figured, I'm gonna have this stepmom. I'm the only girl and I'm grown. We're gonna go out. We're gonna do. It was like in my head, I was like, this is it. And I don't know if he felt some type of guilt and was trying to do something and then decided not to. Or, if you want my honest opinion, I believe that the pressure on his wife of having this grown daughter around who was also now, because as you know, Nicholas was my next child, Savannah's my oldest girl. The the thing was, here we are together, here's your daughter, and now she's here with her kids and we don't have kids, I can't have a baby. So I think that played a factor in it, and her it was too much for her in the end. That's my belief. It wasn't told to me that way, but that my belief is it was too much for her, and in the end he had to side with her.
Okay, so you said that you was the only girl, so he wound up having other kids?
So he ended up, I have a little brother that's like 12 or 13.
Okay.
So he came after I started having kids. So, and that was another thing to make me feel like, well, you around doing all this stuff for her and the baby, and we don't have a baby, and I want a baby, and you know what I'm saying. So I think that played a major role in the disappearance all of a sudden.
So do you have a relationship with your brother?
He doesn't even know I exist, and I reached out to my stepmom so whether I could try, because like he's got a sister out here, he's got uncles, he's got a whole family out here, and she set her Facebook to private, so now I can't even see his pictures, and she won't respond to my message.
Oh wow. Mm.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, for those issues, like, how do you unresolved childhood issues play out like in adult relationships, whether they're romantic, platonic, or just even professional? How does that play out in the story?
Um. Hmm. I think because of the type of men that I pick, or the type of men that I end up choosing to have long term relationships with, um, latching on to them, it's like I have to stay. So even if they're doing things to me that aren't right, I stay because that's just my foundation. This is what I have. It's my little piece of having someone who, while he may be hurting me, he loves me. And that, you know what I mean? So like I could deal with the cheating, I deal with being abused, I'll deal with all of that as long as you promise to stay here and love me.
Mm. And that could be detrimental to your mental health as well.
Yes, it can.
So when you were writing this book with your Stella Rose, with your drink, was it emotionally draining to write certain scenes, like dealing with this? Now you got your own family, so now there's parental trauma that you had from your dad, but you got your own family. So was it emotional trying to write these scenes in this book?
It was. There were times I actually just had to stop, and like I would cry, and my husband would just be like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" And I'm like, "Yes, like yes, I got to get it out by any means necessary, because suppressing it and keeping it bottled up inside is harming me. It's doing more harm now than anything. So I got to get it out, and in the process, if I can help somebody else come out of theirs, I'm willing to do that too. So we're gonna put this in a book, and we gonna get this mental right. That's what we gonna do.
Right, right. Because we have a term in pop culture, called daddy issues. So,
Right.
like, how do you feel? Like, is that word portrayed correctly? Like, how people embrace it and
So
use it?
for me, yes. Like every term of the word every. If you Google daddy issues, whatever definition you get from the Urban Dictionary, to Google, anywhere, whatever it says applies to me. So yes, that is exactly how. That's exactly what it is. It's daddy issues, and having deep rooted daddy issues definitely will cause you to go down paths in life that you wouldn't have normally chose to go, but you kind of punish yourself. So whatever pain comes with that, whatever comes with along with what I choose to have based off the fact that I'm going to get my dad back for not being here, you deal with that. You take that. And that can be stressful. It can be strainful. It can be emotional. And sometimes some people don't make it out, and so it can be deadly too.
Right. Yes, it can be deadly. So, the term is often used to shame women. So, did you explore, like I said, we're not going to go deep into the books. We want people to read the book. And you're not doing like the sidetrack. I had this one guy on here probably was it 2 seasons ago, season three. And then he had wrote a book, and I'm asking him like questions, little bit of questions about the book. He just kept saying, gotta read the book, gotta read the book, gotta read the book, gotta read the book. I'm like, what? Okay.
What? I got to give you a reason to read it. Like,
Right, right. So I don't want to deep dive into the book. So I'm just letting you
right.
know. So just asking the questions like, so the term often shames women daddy issues, as I stated.
Right.
So in the story, in the book, do you explore that stigma in your story with you and Maya?
I touch on it a little bit. There's gonna be more story later on, so I don't dive head first into the daddy issues. But we kind of scratch the surface. And in Maya's case, she she's been dealing with it her whole life, and she's this tough girl. She's despite the issues there, she tries to have a good life and have a better life. But deep down inside, you can't fight that gut feeling. You can't fight that feeling of I gotta have it. I gotta know why. And sometimes the why, it's what causes you to do crazy things. Wanting to know the why will make you do some things. Whether you're in a relationship with somebody and something happens, you want to know why they did it, why you cheat, well, why you ain't come home, why you ain't this. It's the same thing with the daddy issues. Well, why you didn't want me, why wasn't I good enough? So it's the same thing. You want to know those answers. If you never answer another question, why, and
Right,
that's what I get to explore with her.
right. So for your introduction to promote this, we used Tupac for you. And when the lady asked him, "You grew up without a father," and he said, "How did that make you feel?" He said, "If I'd have had my father, I'd have been more confident. I would have been." He said, "I've been more confident in myself, and I would have been more structured." So, how do societal expectations of fatherhood like influence your characters in this book?
So hmm, hmm, that's a good question. I never thought about it that way.
Well, we can always come back to it.
Yeah, I've never looked at it. I never looked at how I will portray, because I think I spend so much of making sure Maya's emotions and concerns are felt and understood, that I don't really give Dad the voice. Like,
Right,
I let him get a little bit out. I let him give me, the damage control response. I
right,
let him give me that, but too deep into um I didn't dive into deep with his complete point of view. I mean, he still, there were still other situations, as you will learn when you read the book. So we knew he knew how to be a father. He just didn't be that father for me.
right. So now, if you'd have had your dad around you, what things do you think would be different in your life? Like, would it be like would it have been like more structure? Just examples like structure. You've been
Right.
more level-headed, stuff like that. Like, what
I
do you
would
think?
definitely, if my dad had been around, given the things I know about him, the military, the Navy SEAL, given that I know that the type of character you have to be something like a Navy SEAL, you know what I mean? The
Hmm.
the 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 mindset you have to have, it makes me believe that if my dad had been around, the type of men that
Hmm.
I choose, the type of men that I chose to love and allow to abuse and love me, would be different. I think that I wouldn't be as tolerable to things, because my daddy ain't do that. Like, you
Right.
know what I mean? So I ain't never seen my daddy do that. I ain't never seen my daddy ain't never said that to me. My daddy
Right.
doesn't talk to me like that.
Right.
It had I had that, then I know for a fact that a lot of the trauma I went through with other people wouldn't have existed because my mindset would have been different. My outlook on the situation would have been different.
Okay. So now I'm gonna dip into chapter one because you come out like kind of fierce in chapter one, and it was going like the first five lines, like so everything Maya rolls up on him at a coffee shop at a cafe.
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
So it wasn't a cafe. But I did pop up at the house. Like I I googled and got like the information to. I guess it ended up being like his stepmom and dad's. It ended up being their information, but because they're related, it's like linked to the
Hmm.
person. So in my research, this address pops up, and I'm
Mm,
like, I don't know who address this is, but I'm just gonna go.
right.
And I went, I want to say I went like a week. I drove by the house for like a week straight before I actually was
Oh
like,
shit.
okay,
You had to gain your confidence to get about the
right. And
car.
I was like,
Okay.
okay, you know what? We're gonna do this. It's time. But peep this, like I did all of that and nobody opened the door, right?
Uh.
Nobody opened the door. So I was like, okay, I kind of was like, okay, well maybe this is God like trying to be like, just we're not gonna do this. But after a while, I was like, nope, it's still aching. I'm still aching. And I went and talked to my mom about it. And I just was like, I think I honestly, like, I was like 16 and I was just like, I just, And so he was at a seafood restaurant out here.
Hmm.
And I literally rolled out. I saw the car, or he had a truck. I saw his truck, and I was like, "That's the truck." I remember the license plate number, and I walked into this restaurant, and I just stood at the table,
Mm,
and nothing came out.
mm,
I just stood there, like in my head, I had this whole conversation, but
mm.
I stood there and nothing came out. And I think he picked up on that, and he stepped outside, and we had a conversation then. But like, I just was like, nothing happened. All the stuff I had practiced, the cussing, everything in the mirror that I was doing, none of it happened. Not the way it happened in my head. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Wow. So got to put it up there. If you want to follow her at all handles are Arielle J Scott. You want to buy the book? We just posted it in the chat. Books.by/ the reading room. It's in the chat. So you stated as you got older, when we talked before, you said that you started having seizures.
yes.
Is the seizures based on what happened in the past? Is it from the stress and the trauma?
So yes. So the seizures, I had never had a seizure before in my life. I had never had anything like that. And then while being at work, last year, October 16th to be exact, while at work in the emergency department, I actually collapsed and began to seize. And by the time everything happened and the dust settled, this was a Friday night. I had a total of about 30 seizures. I was in ICU.
Mm,
That I had an MRT had been called on me, which means I was struggling to breathe. Like there was all types of things going on. I was literally fighting for my life. They did all types of tests to rule out like epilepsy and things like that. When the dust finally did settle, I was told that I had what's called um, psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, and it's a manifestation, a real life physical manifestation of trauma, anxiety, and stress.
mm. So, like, I guess let's say, like, you have to take heavy medications for this?
So they did put me on like anxiety medicine. My doctors thought it would be smart to put me on a seizure medicine just in case at any point in time my seizures went from being mental to actually being electrical activity, which was epileptic. So they do have me on a precaution with that. But the biggest thing is the anxiety medicine and the heart medicine. My anxiety levels are so high, my body stays in fight or flight mode. So anything that could send my heart rate above 130 could send me into a seizure. And
Mm,
so they told me that the only way to really deal with it is therapy. But we don't go see no shrink. We don't do that. We don't talk about what happened in our mama house. No, no, no. So what I started to
Right.
do was, which actually started in ICU. I thought I was going to die,
Mm,
like, because you know how, like, you have visions of like your life and things like
right.
that. Those type of dreams were happening. Like, I real life thought, this is it. Like, God is
Right.
letting me walk through, seeing everything, and like it's about to be lights out. But after coming out of that and coming home, I continued to have the dreams. And because I couldn't work, it was like, okay, God, what is it that you're trying to do? Like,
Right.
you gotta give me something, because sitting at home isn't gonna work for me. So like, what are we doing here? And he just real simply was like, right,
Right.
right. So all of those things that I was feeling, I just started writing them down. And nothing even made sense. Like, there's video recordings where I was just rambling. I would be in the car and something would come to mind, and I just would start talking into my phone and getting these recordings, or I would jot something down, and it would be something I was feeling, or something from, and it would all started with childhood stuff. My dad was the first thing that popped up, and I just thought, I got to do something with this. I don't know what you want me to do, but I got to do something with it. And that's how we ultimately ended up with My Father's Secrets.
Okay. So everything that's been done, the book is coming out shortly.
Yes,
Does he know about the book?
he does not. So I have not spoken to my father since my 15-year-old was 3 months.
Mm.
No communication at all. I started off doing things like texting him Happy Father's Day on Father's Day, texting him Happy Birthday. He never responded. Phone number's still the same, still lives at the same house, everything. There's been no communication at all. My husband is like, hey, let's just go to the house. We're going to go to the house and knock on the door, and I'm just like, I'm nervous about it. Like, a part of me is like, hell yeah, let's do it. Another part of me is just kind of like, I don't know if I want to do it that way. So there has been none at all, no communication at all in almost 15, 16 years.
Well, a old head once told me, he was like, when guys grow up and they fall and they have children, and the ones they don't father, it seems to be when they know when death is near, they want to try to make things right. So
Right.
I'm not saying that may happen or that's right that may happen to you, but normally people say when somebody's like that who's been a disappearing act for all your life, all of a sudden want to come around, it's all of a sudden something detrimental is getting ready to happen, that you get ready to
Right.
get to those pearly gates. And they don't want nobody at the apostles or Jesus or one of them at the gate. Like, I know you fucking lying at the
Right.
gate. They don't want that.
Right.
So I'm like, that's just some old proverb. It's just like you try to get things right before you die.
Before
Like
you go. Right.
you,
And
you know,
almost dying definitely puts that in perspective. Like, going through that situation, it had me reaching out to people, trying to make amends, people that I heard I was apologizing to. It's just, you don't want that weight on you. You know what I
well,
mean? Like, almost dying it has definitely made me look at life completely different.
yeah, it definitely does. And that's why I always say you got to find God before God finds you.
That is so true.
So, the book is coming out. What's the date of the book? When does the book drop?
May 20th. It drops May 20th.
Okay, May 20th.
Yes.
And what are we doing on May 20th?
So, there's still some things working in plans. I have some surprises for, when I first started announcing the book. There was the first so many people who bought the book. They're getting some goodies and things of that nature. So the first
And you
five
got
people.
2 days to pre-order, right? Left.
Yes,
I
so
think I
we
read
only
that
have
earlier.
2 days left. Yes, because it ends on April 10th. So tomorrow is the last day to pre-order the book. For 15 is tomorrow is the last day to pre-order, and the book is signed by me. You get a T-shirt with my publishing logo on it and all of the information. So yes, 2 more days.
Okay. So, I know you told me not to tell at the beginning, but after that, you got another one possibly coming too.
Yes, Echoes of the Bronx. And while
Okay.
My Father's Secrets explores my daddy issues, Echoes of the Bronx explores my mommy issues.
Well, we're gonna have to bring you back when Echoes of the Bronx come out. When it's getting near publishing, because this is sound good. Bronx is one of my favorite places on earth.
Yes, mine too. No, what? No better place than
No better place than the Bronx. So you watch the show, you listen to the show. So it's that segment. Everybody's asking where it's been at. I haven't did it in a while. So here comes I Be Damned. And we got a crazy story today, and I couldn't believe it. So this is what happens. My girlfriend Betty told me she found a second job, an overnight caring job. She told me she did light chores and mostly just visit with the elderly. The clients paid her in cash. Recently, she came home tired and didn't shower like she usually does, and she plopped down in the bed next to me. I smelled the woman on her face and the male's glaze in her hair. I woke up. I woke her up and asked, "What the hell kind of job you doing, Betty? If you don't like to eat," and she replied, "If you don't like to eat good food and sleep in this comfy bed, you can leave. But what you can't do is ask me about how I make my money. I'm not working now, so my options are limited, but I can't stomach her swinging with old people. What should I do?" So that's this week's I Be Damn.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so homemade. I mean, I guess it correlates from what I seen on Twitter the other day that some lady woke up like 3 a.m. to go to a swingers party in Houston. And I'm like, this shit can't be real. People are getting up. This lady went to Houston, got a flat tire and all, but she made that swingers party at 9 a.m.
Wow. But I feel like it's becoming more popular, like swinging, the whole polygamy thing. They're really into this. Like this is really a thing right now. Like the whole why extra wives and like this is really a thing right now. Like we're really living in those times, and it's out in the open.
Yeah, it really is out in the open. I mean,
It is.
I got my own reasons for it. Like, I think because, things like when coronavirus happened in 2020, people started to see like, everything started raising, my bills raised, so I actually still need you to live here, so I'll just tolerate you doing the shit. Let's do the shit. Come
Right.
on. Nobody wants to, do their own thing. So, but it's getting popular.
It
It's
is.
at an all-time high where though you could just ask and people are with it. Like,
Stay
yeah,
with it.
let's just do it. Like,
Right. Three
so
incomes are definitely better than one or two. I'm just saying.
yeah, I mean, hey, one or three beats two.
Definitely.
3 beats two. And if you have a multi-million dollar husband or multi-million dollar wife and you want to go to these swinger parties, hey, I'm guessing they all say, hey, just don't bring shit home. But you're there.
Right, but you need to tell them though if you're gonna agree, especially my men, if you're going to agree to go to a swingers party with your girl, this woman that you love, and have
Mhm.
agreed to go to this swinger party where you can't be mad when y'all get to the swing party, and you get to have fun with her, and her, and when it's her turn, you can't be mad. You can't be in your feelings. You can't be wanting to break up. You can't be doing none of that. You can't do it. So if you gotta really, really, really think about the choices you're making, just think about it. Don't be
Well,
going and you can't really stomach your girl getting humped by Kuwa with them days. You know what
I,
I'm saying?
I get it. Shout out to Shannon Tatum on the pivot because him and his wife are swingers. And he said out
Whew.
his own mouth, I watched my wife get the dog shit fucked out of her. He's like, he said, I just had to just sit there and look. So it's just like you just
Whew.
said, if we agree into this lifestyle, this is the shit that I'm going to have to endure.
Right.
Like, I'm going to have to watch you. But now you can also say, you go in as a couple, we can put on limits and say, listen, I don't
You can
want you
set
to do,
rules.
you can do this, you can't do this, you can do this, you can do that.
Right.
Because even on one of my favorite shows, Bel Air, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv did a swingers thing in the
They
last season.
they did in the pool with the vacation with yeah, they
Yeah, like you said, this shit is at an all-time high, man.
did.
But definitely, thank you for coming. Anything you want to say before you leave?
I just want you all to get the book, read the book. If you are dealing with any of those type of issues, any issues, period, therapy is okay. It is okay. I know we are told that we don't talk to nobody, we don't tell the business. Therapy is okay. It is better to deal with these traumas than to continue to suppress them, because it can kill you. It can definitely kill you. They tell you stress can kill, but so can suppressing your issues. You got to face these traumas head on. Trust me, from experience, you want to start dealing with it. You'll feel better, I promise.
Hey, you start seeing
Love you,
things
Mama
clearly.
Nina.
Yeah, you see it right there. But thank you for coming on the share. Make sure you cop the book. Make sure you want to get your pre-order. $15. He said in 2 days you get a free shirt of the
Mhm.
publishing company. You get a signed autographed copy of Miss Arielle J. Scott's book, My Father's Secret. Look for the encore. She's gonna come back for that. Echoes in the Bronx. I mean, she did tell me she want to do a book sign in the Bronx. I'm like, we can go to the Bronx and shoot this
Let's
shit
go to the
live.
Bronx and do this.
Let's go do it live, man. But thank you for coming. There will be no show next week. I'm just letting you guys know I'm taking a 1 week break. And then the following week, we'll be back with another author. Shit, I forgot her name. Y'all know I can't never remember who the hell comes on next week. But just keep yourself locked in. It might be a special show Friday from where I'm going to be at next Friday. It might be a special show with seeing some of your favorite people next Friday. Just keep it locked where you got it. If you missed the show, remember this runs right back on YouTube right after we end this. If you're waiting for the audio will be here by Friday by 6 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Until then, Unfiltered Tales, I'm Rod. Thank you, Miss Scott, for coming on.
Of
Everybody have
course.
a blessed night. And make sure you take your allergy medicine because it's worse out there. It's crazy. Right.
Bye.